day, I watched The Legend of Zheng Huan with my mother. It has a very good saying.
Was it?
The first sentence is south of the river is the place to get the lotus, where a mountain lives.
Ah, I know. It's poems, Jiangnan, that I learned it when I was a child.
Yes, it turns out that poem is so good to sing.
Then, do you know another poem that we all know in the drama?
Let me give you a tip. It's a poem about cherishing time.
Ah, I know. It covers not a God-threaded rule. Cherish only your young days.
So smart. This is a poem wrote in Tang Dynasty.
I remember that we also learned a note on a rainy night to a friend in the north by Li Shangying.
Oh, when shall we be trimming wigs again together in your western window? When shall I be hearing your voice again, all night in the rain? He wrote this poem in Sichuan.
That's great. Seeing this familiar poem in TV plays. Can you feel the beauty of poetry more?
Yes.
The classical beauty of poetry becomes more concrete in its ancient custom and setting.
Did ancient people read the poems of previous dynasties?
Of course. Is that why we can still read poems that were written thousands of years ago? Poetry culture carrying on from generation to generation. This task will be handed over to you.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the class. Hello, everyone. Hello, Professor Qiu. Today, we will begin to explore the beauty of traditional Chinese poetry. This chapter is mainly represented by the Book of Songs, 词 of Chu, poetry of Tang Dynasty, and the 词 of Song Dynasty, so as to feel the beauty of traditional Chinese literature.
Yes, literature is the most dynamic and splendid part of Chinese culture. Throughout the long history, Chinese ancient literature has embodied the underlying spirits of Chinese culture, reflected the Chinese people's pursuit for aesthetics and faith for ideal society, and moreover demonstrated the distinctive Chinese character.
The Book of Songs is the first collection of poems in China. It recorded a total of 305 poems created over a period of 500 years or so, from the early Western Zhou dynasty to the middle of the spring and autumn period.
It was said that specific officials were appointed with the sole lure of collecting poems among the mass. There was also a law requiring officials to compose poems and present them to the emperor at that time. The anthology came into being after further compilation, and poems in the Book of Songs were all lyrics that could be sung.
The 305 pieces are divided into 3 parts according to the types of music. The first is Guofeng, 160 pieces, which is a folk ballad collected from 15 regions. The second is Daya, 105 pieces, Xiaoya, 105 pieces, most of which are the songs for royal banquets. The third is Zhou Song, Lu Song, and Shang Song, which are used by the royal family of the Western Zhou dynasty, the state of Lu and the state of Song in the early spring and autumn period.
Specifically speaking, the Book of Songs describes the following 5 aspects. First, the history of the Zhou clan. These poems mainly phrase the merits of the ancestors of the Zhou clan, but objectively and vividly record some important segments of the history of the Zhou clan. For example, Gong Liu from Daya describes the migration of Zhou's distant ancestor Gong Liu from Youtai to Yu, and Mian from Daya describes the migration of Zhou people from Yu to Qi.
The second is to describe the scenes of hunting, animal husbandry and agricultural production in ancient times, such as Zhilai from Youfeng, which describes the process of farmers' hard work all the year round and the poverty situation of how can we survive the winter without clothes to keep out the cold, just like a rural custom painting at that time.
The third is the description of war and wagging, such as He Cao Bu Huang from Xiaoya and Dongshan from Youfeng, which depict the hardships of long-term service and the love between husband and wife, and accuse the war of destroying people's peaceful life. There are also a few poems reflecting the people's determination to resist aggression, such as Wu Yi from Qinfeng.
The fourth is to accuse the rulers of cruel exploitation of the people, such as Fa Tan and Shuo Shu from Weifeng, which expose and ridicule those nobility who get without any labor.
The fifth is to narrate love and marriage. For example, Qi Guan and Jiang Zhongzi from Zhenfeng describe the love experiences of young men and women, and Cai Ge from Wangfeng expresses a young man's pining for his love. The tenor is that she has gone to gather vine and was unseen for one day, which is like 3 years for that young man. The popular idiom, "one day without seeing is like 3 autumns," is originated from this poem.
In a word, the Book of Songs embodies the realistic tendency of hungry people use songs to express their desire for food, while working people use songs to express their tired mood, and shows the critical consciousness of intervening in life and reflecting society, the so-called beautiful satire. The poet's eyes are focused on the fate of the country and the people, and is particularly concerned about the social reality, such as people's livelihood.
That's right. Let's take a look at the classic works in the Book of Songs. Zhounan Guanju is the first piece of the 305 poems in the Book of Songs, and it is classified to Guofeng or ballads from the States. In ancient China, students who learned the Book of Songs must begin with the recitation of Guan Guan sayings, the water bird. Thus, it is one of the most well-known pieces of the Book of Songs. It can be rated as the first poem of China. Cooing and wooing in the Book of Songs.
By riverside a pair of water birds are cooing. There's a maiden fair. A good young man is wooing. Water flows light and white. Of Christ long here, short there. The youth yearns day and night. For the good maiden fair, his yearning grows so strong. He cannot fall asleep, but tosses all night long. So deep in love, so deep. Now gather light and white, quite long or short and tender. O lute, play music bright, for the bride sweet and slender. Feast friend at life and white. on Christ's cocktail tender, or bells and drums delight. The bride, so sweet and slender.
This poem came from the people, since its description of life is simple and natural, such as the water bird by the river, and the girl who was picking water plants. The central idea of the poem is to convey a man's yearning for and wooing to a beautiful lady. The language of the poem is vivid and lively. For example, Guan Guan sings the water bird makes us feel as if we were listening to the singing of the water bird, while he tossed and turned portrays the man who was lying awake all night thinking of the lady.
Yes, from the poem, we can understand that in ancient China, love between a man and a woman was bold and unreserved, as well as warm and pure. Unlike in the late feudal society, where there were so many restrictions of the feudal ethics, and the noble regarded status and property as supremely important.
The first poem of China is a sincere love poem, so it is evident that love is one of the important and eternal subjects of poetry. This poem has exerted great influence on the literature of later ages. Therefore, quite a few of its words and phrases have become fixed idioms of the Chinese language used as original or by making slight changes, such as 窈窕淑女, a lovely and good lady, 寤寐以求, long for something day and night, 求之不得, all one could wish for, and 辗转反侧, toss and turn. There are many four-character idioms in Chinese, which may have begun with this poem.
The artistic features of the Book of Songs are also worthy of attention. Ancient scholars classified the artistic techniques of the Book of Songs as Fu, Bi, and Xing. In short, Fu refers to the direct narration and expression. Bi refers to metaphor or analogy. Xing refers to the analogy relationship between meaning and sound. The techniques of Fu, Bi, and Xing have a profound influence on the poetry of later generations. As far as the Book of Songs itself is concerned, Fu is used most frequently, which is obviously closely related to the realistic tendency of the Book of Songs.
The Book of Songs mainly contains poems with four characters and intersentence rhymes, but it is also rich in variations. There are sentence patterns with 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8 characters, which are flexible and varied and well arranged. Moreover, it has the characteristics of repeated chapter refrain and repeated chanting, and a large number of words with repeated words. Double voices and repeated rhymes are used to strengthen the imagery, musicality, and the rhythm of the language. Therefore, it has a good effect in many expression and rhetoric, which follow the beauty of music.
The Book of Songs was not only a valuable resource for studying ancient Zhou society, but also the root of Chinese poetry. It has a great impact upon the development of poetry in later times, in terms of both its ideological and artistic achievements. The Book of Songs has its own unique beauty, no matter in form, language skills, or in artistic image and expression techniques.
楚辞, also known as poetry of the state of Chu was a new style of poetry emerged after the Book of Songs. It was created in the Chu state in South China in the 4th century BC. In the course of its formation, it was influenced by folk songs, music, and the folk literature of the Chu state. And as a result, it was characterized by a strong local flavor.
Qu Yuan is the most important representative writer of Chu Ci and one of the most respected great patriotic poets in Chinese history. He used this genre of folk songs to express his rich imagination and patriotic feelings, and wrote such famous works as Li Sao, Jiu Ge, Jiu Zhang, and Tian Wen.
Later, Song Yue and his representative work Jiu Bian. In the Han Dynasty, some people imitated this style of poetry, which was compiled into Chu Ci by Liu Xiang and others. Because Li Sao by Qu Yuan was the representative of Chu Ci, it was also called the Sao style.
Qu Yuan was an aristocrat of Chu state. He once held an important official position and participated in important political activities, such as internal and foreign affairs. Later, he was framed and exiled because he had no way to serve his country. He sank into the Miruo River. As the main writer of Chu Ci, he experienced the evolution of a Chu state from prosperity to decline, and also suffered a cruel blow. He melted the country's decline, people's suffering, and his own experience, and wrote such a brilliant poem as Li Sao.
Li Sao is a colossal political lyric made up of over 370 lines with 2,400 characters. Drawing on the technique of Romanticism, the poet recounted his life, his beliefs and misfortunes, expressed his concern over the fate of the Chu state and his determination to maintain his lofty aspirations.
In this poem, he rides on a rainbow chariot driven by dragons as white as jade, guarded by the god of wind, god of sun, and god of moon. He soared to heaven in search of his ideas. Finally, he was forced to leave his most beloved Chu state. Qu Yuan's patriotism and unyielding spirit has moved and encouraged many readers down through the generations, edifying their sentiment. Sorrow After Departure, selected verse by Qu Yuan. I sigh and wipe away my tears, oh. I'm grieved at a life full of woes. Good and just, I hear only jeers, oh. Morning and night I suffer blows. I make a belt of grasses sweet, oh, and add to its clovers and things. My heart tells me it's good and meet, oh. I won't regret to die 9 times.
The above lines are selected from Li Sao, a long poem by Qu Yuan. It is considered that Li means parting, while Sao refers to sorrow. However, the exact explanation to the definition of Li Sao has acquired many different versions in history.
Li Sao consists of altogether 373 lines, 2,490 characters. Such a magnificent, powerful, long poem composed in ancient China more than 2,000 years ago deserves the pride in the world's poetic history. And the beauty of its verse is unique in the traditional Chinese literature history.
Yes, these 8 lines alone have vividly portrayed the poet's personal characters and pursuits. Qu Yuan presented himself in our eyes as a patriotic poet who was concerned about his country and his people, aiming at perfection and being ready to give his life for his idea.
In this selection, the first 2 lines of the first stanza and the last 2 lines of the second stanza have been handed down from ancient times and quoted very often. The line bemoan the so many hardships of people's life shows the poet's concern and sympathy for the sufferings of the toiling masses. I would never repent even if I have to die many times, reflects the poet's spirit of dauntless struggle and devotion.
The profusion of myths and fantasies, the unusual twists of imagination, the vigorous surge of feelings and exotic use of verses in 楚辞 was a complete breakthrough compared with the 4-character trim verse style in the Book of Songs, thus enlarging the content of every line of a poem and enhancing the expressiveness, thereby demonstrating a unique romanticism that has never faded and pioneered a new road for the development of Chinese culture.
The Book of Songs and the 楚辞 are called 风骚 because of their great artistic charm, which constitute 2 major resources in the history of Chinese poetry. For more than 2,000 years, it has been regarded as a model of learning by poets of all ages.
Yes, if you want to better understand the beauty of Chinese classical poetry, it is a good choice to start with the Book of Songs and the 楚辞. I hope you can take some time to read it by yourself after class and feel the natural beauty, simple beauty, musical beauty, formal beauty, and connotation beauty in the rhythm of the Book of Songs and the 楚辞. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.